My name's Roger Yoder. I'm one of the owners of New Horizons Aviation, the flight school based here at Goshen. My career has taken me from flight instruction through corporate flying and then a 35-year career at American Airlines. When I was 8 years old, I told Mom and Dad that I wanted to be a pilot. And I also told them that I wanted to play second base for the Pittsburgh Pirates, but I didn't have the skill set for that. Ever since that first airplane ride when I was 8 years old in that TWA 727, I have been in love with being in the air. Aviation has been my life. I love to fly as much today as I did the day I started. Aviation has caused me to cross paths with so many individuals. Many don't think like I do. They don't believe what I do, and my life is richer because I've crossed paths with so many different folks. I remember specific instances where, as a young first officer at American, the captain's name was Mike Marino. I'll never forget it, even though it was 30 years ago. We were landing in Washington, D.C., and it was my landing, and it was a little gusty, and it was the worst landing of my aviation career. Captain Marino knew that I was feeling bad about it, and when we got to the gate, he put on his hat and he stood in the doorway, and as the passengers were deboarding, a few made comments about, oh yeah, you must have been a Navy pilot with that landing, and other comments that were meant in a joking manner, but never once did Captain Marino say, that wasn't my landing. He was the captain of the airplane and displayed incredible leadership to me at that moment. And as I sat there in the right seat and I listened to the conversations taking place over my left shoulder, I said to myself, I want to be like Captain Marino. When I become a captain, that's the type of leader I want to be. When I went to American, I had a one-year-old son and a wife at home. As the training progressed at American, the pressure of being away from home, being away from my one-year-old son and my wife, caused me to be very tense, I guess, for lack of a better term. The day of the oral exam arrived, and when I didn't know an answer, that started to make me even more tense, to the point where we got about 2/3 of the way through, and he said, well, Roger, you seem like you're really nervous. Why don't we take a break? So all the break succeeded in doing is making me yet more tight. So by the time we got to the end of my oral, he could have asked me my name and I wouldn't have been able to tell him. So the oral is over, and I am just devastated, because now this means, because I didn't pass, I needed to stay another week before I could come home and see my family. I had two choices, I decided. Number one is to let this get the best of me, or number two, pick up the manual, study the systems, accept the reality of the situation, and use this as a learning experience to make myself a better pilot, a more knowledgeable pilot. So that's what I did. The next day I went in and had another training session with the class that was right behind me. I took my oral the following day and ended up graduating with my class right on schedule. So what have I learned from this? Well, the one thing that I've learned is that I have been able to use that situation to talk to our students when things don't go well for them. And I can say, look, I have been where you have been. I know how that feels, but you can overcome this. I don't use the term failure. I use the term didn't pass. And in my mind, there's a difference between that terminology. You are not a failure if you didn't pass. It just means there's more that you need to do to take the next step. My son, he was the first officer on my retirement flight in April. The best part is that my entire family, my daughter and son-in-law, my daughter-in-law, all four of my granddaughters, and my wife were on that flight with me. So, pretty proud moment.
Ever see any UFOs?
Any UFOs? Never.